Good morning, everybody. So normally on a Sunday, I would have a thrift haul video coming out, but today I'm doing something a little bit different for a couple of reasons. I've been asked to make a video like this, and also I've been busy doing something with a storage space, so I haven't been out thrifting, still getting caught up on some listings and then working on moving some things around and re-inventorying items. So basically, without any further ado, I'm just going to get into talking about how I ship things as a Canadian reseller. There are some significant differences in the options available between us here in Canada and in the US. Like, for example, we don't have media mail, we don't have, some of these other little subcategories. So we basically have letter mail, which, can only be about 2 centimeters or 0.8 inches thick, or we have to send by parcel. Myself, I'm in rural Nova Scotia, so, for me to send a parcel, even just a town over or something, I'm going to be dinged with those surcharges, the fuel surcharges, and all that extra crap that Canada Post throws on top of their pricing, because I'm out in the boonies, basically. So for me to send something, next door, basically, it's going to cost me a minimum of $17 to $18 if I'm just going regular parcel. But I mean, that's pretty much the bare minimum. It's going to cost me over $20 to ship almost anything in Canada, unless it qualifies for letter mail. So first, I'll just talk about shipping within Canada. Okay, so these are the options I'm going to talk about first, and then I'll talk about how I handle shipping to the US, because it is very different and is actually cheaper in a lot of cases to ship to the US. But okay, so talking about letter mail first, the first standard thing that I would be sending something in is just like a bubble mailer here. If I'm sending a DVD or a single video game or something, and it's, not in like a thick case, and it's going to come in under that 2 centimeters or 0.8 inches, I'm going to send it in something like this. And, depending on the weight of this is going to cost me, taxes in, and with the cost of my bubble mailer, anywhere from like $1.90 something, so I think it comes to like $2.76 is my total cost, up to about $6. Next up, if I've got something, maybe like a clothing item, like a t-shirt or something that can be folded up and still fit in oversized letter mail. This is about the max size right here. I think this is around 13 inch by 10 inch or something like that. Yeah, the measurements aren't on this pouch, but this is just a U-line poly mailer. So this is about the biggest I can send. And again, it still has to come in underneath that thickness, but I can send a shirt or some kind of a soft material that can be compressed. As long as it fits through the little template they have, it's okay. So, if some air's in there and just need to kind of press it out before they pull it through, that's not a problem. And this does cost just slightly more than the regular, but again, it's by weight. So like most things I'm sending, t-shirts or whatever, my total cost after taxes and the cost of this mailer is going to be between like $4.25 and maybe like $5.50, but it can go up from there as well. Okay, yeah, let's go to parcels. If I'm sending something out by in Poshmark in Canada, so Poshmark buyers, they pay a flat rate shipping of $13.49, which is amazing because that's way cheaper than Canada Post regularly charges. Most things I'm going to be able to fit in one of these, like this is an eBay and Canada Post kind of poly mailer that I can order right through the Canada Post website, and these are really cheap. I think they end up costing me like 20 cents a piece or something. So most things I'm going to fit in one of these. This is going to be my cheapest option. Just fired in this, just peel and stick. I put a little piece of tape over it so it doesn't come undone. And, that's going to go that way because obviously if I don't have to handle the shipping and it's already paid for, well, I want my shipping costs, my material costs to be as low as possible. So if it fits in one of these, that's what it's going in because it's my cheapest option. Now, for other Poshmark orders that maybe are big, bulkier items or something like that, I do have a variety of sizes of boxes that I've purchased through Uline. So I've got, various, anything from like a 6x6x6 box, which obviously isn't anything, isn't good for a Poshmark order, big clothing item. But I've got some other big ones, and it doesn't matter how big that is, as long as it doesn't go over I think it's like 5 pounds or something like that, then I don't need to pay any extra for shipping. So I can use a big box and put a bunch of items in there or something if I sell a bundle or something like that. And really, I'm just out the cost of the box, which might be, $1.50, $2, depending on which size it is. But yeah, so that kind of covers Poshmark. Getting into sending parcels through eBay. So or any of my items that aren't going to fit in one of these poly mailers and go letter mail in Canada, I basically have either a flat rate of $19.99 shipping or $24.99 shipping. And that's going to be determined by whether or not it fits in one of these small flat rate boxes or a medium flat rate box, which I've got one right here as well. So one of these small flat rate boxes, I'm going to be able to fit like a pair of jeans, maybe a couple of shirts, a sweater, something like that in there. It's pretty decent. Most things are going to fit in that. This does cost me after taxes $21.84, but I just charge the $19.99 shipping because I'm kind of allowing for that, the fact that it can't go with letter mail, which I do free shipping. And so I'm just kind of accounting for those extra $2 is coming out of my cost, and then I charge the $19.99. It's also a nicer number to see, I think, as a buyer. $19.99 versus $21.84. Psychologically, there's a big difference there. With the medium boxes, this actually costs me $27.59, I think it is, after taxes, but I charge $24.99. Again, it's mostly for, psychological reasons. $24.99 is a nice even number, or not even number, but you know what I mean? It's a nice looking number. And then, of course, there is a big one here, and this would be like, if I need to send out like a snowsuit or some like large lot, maybe like a video game lot or something like that, and then I'm going to use one of these large boxes. And you can fit quite a bit in one of these. This one is actually already used. I'm just using it as a template to know if things will fit in that. And so basically what I'll do is I do use calculated shipping as well. And a lot of times I'll let people know, like, hey, on those big bulkier items, I'm going to use calculated shipping. But if it comes to an amount that's higher than I can use on one of these flat rate boxes, then I'll send it by a flat rate box and I'll send them, their $1 or $2 back. But typically, because I'm in rural Nova Scotia, these flat rate boxes are going to be the cheapest option. Like, for me to send something that would fit in one, I just had a recent example. Here's this flat rate box, this small box. This is not a big box by any means. In this currently right now are 2 small clothing items, and that need to go out on Monday. So when I did the calculated shipping to figure out how much that would actually cost from Nova Scotia to Ontario, it would have cost $26 to send those items. So I can send them for the cost of that box, which is $21.84. So that's why I just do that flat rate shipping, because it's almost always going to be the best option. All right, so that kind of covers shipping in Canada. And of course, if there's any other questions or something that wasn't clear, by all means, leave it down below. Shipping to the US is kind of a different beast because the size doesn't matter as much. It's not like, letter mail, which I need to worry about being no more than 0.8 inches thick or 2 centimeters thick. Really, to the US, it's all about the weight. And I don't know the exact weights and what all the tiers are, but I know that anything that's under 300 grams, which is about just under 3/4 of a pound, that's going to be, that's kind of the price point. So some items are going to be under that, and then some items are going to be in the next category. And those are the 2 main ones that I deal with clothing. So, for example, I know that in the US, when I'm watching people's videos and stuff, I see that, they're shipping a pair of jeans, for example, expedited shipping for around $7 or something, which is, maybe $9.50 Canadian. So I need to really account for the difference in pricing, in shipping costs between someone buying from a US seller and someone buying from a Canadian seller. And then I need to figure out, okay, well, what price point can I actually put my item at, and then account for that extra shipping, because I can't price it the same amount because my shipping's obviously going to cost more. So I work with the exchange. I use the exchange in my favor a little bit. But I really need to figure out when I'm watching all of these US resellers who are like, hey, here's an item that sells, here's an item that sells, here's an item that sells. Well, that's great, but can it actually work for me shipping from Canada? And in most cases, yes, because when I see that, a US seller's like, hey, this will sell for 25, this sells for 30, this sells for 35 all day long. Well, when I account for the exchange rate, that 25 is now over 30 bucks. That $30 is like almost $40. So I can still get a good margin on those items. I just need to really be aware of what fits and what doesn't with the extra shipping costs. Okay, so long-winded talk about that out of the way. Let's just talk about kind of some of the examples I might have to work with. Let's say I was sending something in a little poly mailer like this. Now, I can't send a video game in one of these and call it like Canada to US letter mail because they're going to turn that down. It actually needs to be a paper product if I'm sending something letter mail. So I can't send it for like, the $7 or $8 or whatever it is. My cheapest option is to send something by small packet air. That's an untracked option. And this leads me to another point. I put in all of my descriptions very clearly a big long disclaimer that says you have options at checkout, and there are going to be untracked options, and that's the cheapest option for you, and you are choosing that at your risk. eBay has sided with me on this when things have gone astray and someone claimed they didn't get their item, because I've put that disclaimer there. I've given them options at checkout. It is completely up to them, and by purchasing the item, they are assuming responsibility, in the unfortunate event that something gets lost. So small packet air is the cheapest option. Most of the time, that's going to be between like, say, $12 and $15. And it might go in this, it might go in a regular poly mailer, it might go in a small box, whatever. It really depends on the item. But really, the weight is the biggest issue. Most of my items, let's say jeans or sweaters or things that are over that 300 gram mark or over that almost 3/4 of a pound mark, they're going to cost me around, no, actually, sorry, let's just go back. Those lighter items under 300 grams for a tracked packet are going to cost me somewhere around like $17. So I charge a $19.99 flat rate for those types of items, because that also covers the fees, it covers my shipping materials, whether it's a poly mailer or something, and so it works out that I actually clear about what my actual cost is. If it's over that 300 gram mark, then that small packet air, the untracked option, jumps up to around that $15 to $16 mark, and the jeans, the sweaters, the things that are over 300 grams, but not like super, super heavy, end up costing me about $24 to ship by tracked packet. So for those items, I charge $24.99 flat rate. And sometimes it's a little under, sometimes it's a little over, but it basically works out. And of course, I do combine shipping as well. I've got all of my items, and you can't do this from the app, and it's a pain. And if you choose someone else's listing and choose sell similar, this doesn't pull through either. But I have shipping rules, like flat rate rules, applied to all of my listings, so that if somebody wants to combine shipping together, then, some things are just going to add an extra $2 for shipping. To the US, things are going to add an extra $5 for shipping. And it just makes it easier to bundle things together and get an accurate or pretty accurate shipping cost. But let's say I have like a large item, like I recently sold that red Bogner snowsuit, full like one-piece snowsuit to the US, and it was just going to New Jersey, I think. But, that was going to be too big and way too much to go by tracked packet. So that I actually had to set up as expedited parcel. When I have those items, those big bulky items, I'll actually do like a test. So I'll go on like, the Canada Post, like find a rate type thing, and I'll actually put in the dimensions and the weight just to get an idea of what that will cost if it's sold to different areas of the US. And there isn't a big difference, honestly, between shipping to, say, New Jersey, and I'm on the East Coast. I mean, that's actually pretty close to me, and shipping to California, because it really goes by the weight. It actually doesn't cost that much extra to ship it to the West Coast. But I'll kind of get a feel for what that might be, take an average, and then just put, like, you know, say $29.99 or $39.99, depending on what that weight is and what those results are. So for the most part, I can pretty much just list every item and know what I'm going to charge. Like, it's going to be the exact same. I'm just copy pasting it in from a previous listing that I have, and it's really quick to do so. But on those kind of key, unique items where I don't want to be stuck paying $40 shipping and I've only charged $25, that's when I do the calculation beforehand, just to kind of see what it's going to be. Or I'll put it in and let eBay calculate the rate for the buyer. That actually, I'll do that sometimes as well. I like having just a flat rate in there because I feel like it's more appealing to a buyer. But I don't know, sometimes I go back and forth on that. In any case, that kind of covers shipping in Canada. It can be expensive, but if you're using the flat rate boxes, then you know exactly what your cost is going to be. And you can get these from Canada Post, so you know, like, hey, you're going to get an expedited parcel, you're going to have a tracking number, you're going to have $100 of insurance on your item that you're sending, and it's going to cost exactly this. I like that because it takes all the guesswork out of it. I don't want to spend, 15 minutes on every item, taking the photos, weighing everything, putting all of that in and calculating shipping on everything. Like, maybe if I was in a more urban center, if I was in Toronto or Montreal and I was selling a lot of these things and I could actually ship parcels for $14, $15, then maybe, but that's just not the case for me here. So anyway, yeah, I think I covered everything. Maybe I haven't. I sell mostly clothing, so I know kind of exactly what those costs are going to be, but I'm sure there are some other special cases, like with oversized mail and things. But this covers the basics, I think, to both the US and Canada. So if you have any questions or comments, put them down below, and yeah, I'll help out down there if I can. All right, thanks for watching, guys. Really appreciate all the support on this channel so far, and we'll see you in the next video. Peace.